for the 2 minute, my fast breaking meal. I've been fasting for at least 30 hours, and I'm just about to start cooking here. So here we go. I'm going to start by making my homemade do-it-yourself garlic sauce. I like garlic. Garlic is healthy too, especially healthy if you consume it raw. Garlic contains allicin, which is antimicrobial, antifungal, and antiviral against certain viruses. Not all. I will use this. And this lactose-free natural Greek yogurt. So this will be my do-it-yourself garlic sauce. Here we go. We'll actually add some coconut milk to this one this time. The only ingredients required to make this do-it-yourself garlic sauce is natural yogurt and garlic. And the basic level of this is simply using 2 ingredients, plain yogurt and garlic, which you either grate or press into this and then stir it up. It makes for a good dipping sauce. Now I'm going to add more things. This will be upgraded. This will be the garlic sauce plus. So this is about what? A deciliter of coconut milk in this one. See how that pans out. I don't cook by recipe. I play by ear. A lot of times it becomes really good. Now I look at food as a nutrient delivery system more than a pleasure source, which where a lot of people go wrong. Where the average man is a lover of pleasures more than a lover of God, the Bible teaches. See, and a Christian man too, which would end up eating a high sugar junk food diet, being addicted to porn, watching porn at least once a week, and being hedonistic. See, lewd fellows of the baser sort, more or less. So, I live differently. I eat to live, I don't live to eat. I don't look at food as much as something I do to feel good, which is why you see these fat pastors that are gluttonous. Because it feels good to eat to do it. It feels hard. If you see a fat pastor, it's hard to exercise, they don't do it. So they could eat the same thing but exercise more and they wouldn't be fat. So you see fat pastors, a person is a gluttonous, lover of pleasures, and he lacks the ability to endure hardness. And he's slothful, lazy. King James Bible word for lazy. So, unlike the average person and Christian, I like to eat basic food. I fast 20 plus hours per day and eat 1 time per day, but do that consistently. On a rare occasion, I do 2 bad. So, now, why is this healthy sauce? It's not, it's sugar free first of all. I consume sub 10 gram amounts of sugar per day, as opposed to the 88 plus grams of sugar that the average American consumes according to statistics. And I would think that the Swedish numbers are gonna be close to the American numbers. So why is this healthy? It's probiotic, natural plain yogurt, which means it doesn't have sugar added to it or sweeteners. A big part of how the average man is infantile. A big sign of that is that it's like struck me recently again. It's like the average American and Swedish person is like they never grew up. It's like everything has to be sweet. See, if I buy protein bar, I look for unflavored unsweetened. If I buy creatine, I look for unflavored unsweetened. If I'm gonna cook, it's exactly that. I'm looking at food as a nutrient delivery system and make it as healthy as possible. And sometimes it ends up tasting less good because I maximize the health benefits. See, it's the average person, everything has to be sweet. Like a little child, everything has to be sweet. Everything has to be sweet, and I like sweet, and it eats sweet, and it's sugar. And people are addicted to sugar, it's a drug. So, why is this a healthy sauce? It's natural probiotic yogurt. So, probiotic supplements or products such as kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, capsules, or yogurt. These are probiotic sources. Good gut bacteria. They're healthy, okay? Probiotics are healthy, they're good for you. Now I'm going to add allicin. I'm going to add raw garlic, which contains allicin, which is an antimicrobial, antifungal, and antiviral. I'm not saying against any viral thing, but against certain viruses it has shows effect, okay? So part of like traditional folk cures for like the common cold is just like eating raw garlic, stuff like that. Some people say it has to feel better. Now we're not talking about the powerhouses, like the big stuff. Now here's the point. So I will grate garlic into this raw garlic. And if you're looking to get as much health benefit from a given amount of garlic as possible, you want to consume it raw. Because allicin is destroyed if you heat up to a certain level. So garlic contains allicin, which is natural antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral. That's part of my candida podcast I've been teaching. Consuming raw garlic 3 times per day, chew it down with probiotic yogurt, and cut out the sugar. Now ultimately other things I get, even more things I get people to do. But that's something you can do to fight if you have candida overalls. Consume raw garlic, and the yogurt is mostly to buffer the raw garlic if you're chewing it. Now there's also garlic tablets. So anyway, here's the point. Garlic contains allicin. It's good for health. Probiotics are good for health. It's like a double punch. There's a garlic allicin which can kill some bad stuff in the body. There's probiotics also fights bad stuff. And I will also add turmeric, which contains curcumin, which is an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory. If something is an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and it's like a natural ingredient, it's good for your health. See, it's general rule of thumb. Turmeric contains curcumin, which is a natural antioxidant. Interchangeable term, anti-inflammatory. Ginger contains gingerols, which is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, good for health. Black pepper contains piperine, which enhances the absorption of the curcumin in the turmeric in the gingerols and ginger by up to 2000%. So that's the antioxidant, anti-inflammatory powerhouse trio that I like to use. I like to use these 3 spices together in cooking: turmeric, ginger, and black pepper. So as a visual model, which is not scientifically accurate necessarily, if I use a teaspoon of turmeric, maybe I only absorb a quarter of that. But if I add a pinch of black pepper, just a pinch, possibly absorb half of it. See? So you absorb more of the anti-inflammatory ingredients by consuming it with black pepper. Another ingredient I like to use is chili and cayenne. Cayenne peppers contain capsaicin, which is the ingredient responsible for the heat. And capsaicin content in chilies is measured in SHU, Scoville heat units. The higher the SHU number, SHU, the harder the chili. So, anyway, but I digress. Here is the start of the duties of garlic sauce. Probiotic yogurt, plain natural yogurt, some coconut milk. And here we go. There's going to be some peeling and grating. I haven't eaten for 30 plus hours, and I haven't slept for more than 30 as well. I've had no problem extremely productive. Okay. Have to find the garlic now. Here we go. Yes. These are my favorite garlics to buy. Ball garlic. They're called solo garlics. Why do I prefer these over the more common ones? They're like an orange or this. Many pieces, okay? It's like a meatball all made from garlic. So there's less peeling per gram of garlic. I don't use a cutting board when cooking. I do a freehand cutting. And I've had good success with that without getting cut. So this is what I always do. If I'm gonna cut something like an onion, I score it like this and cut it like this. All the cutting that I do is freehand like this. No cutting board, just freehand. The only time I got cut cooking was before I quit alcohol, which I haven't drunk a drop alcohol for 6.5 months. I took a 4-year sober challenge and I stuck to it. The only time I remember getting cut while cooking was when I was drunk and going to the kitchen to cut some cheese. And I been drunk and I had a knife like this and a cheese wedge, and I was cutting it like this and it slipped and it went into my finger. And that was when I was drunk. So statistical probability, you're more likely to have accidents if you're drunk. You don't have to be in a car, you can just be drunk. Another interesting fact is that sleep deprivation closely mirrors the effect of alcohol intoxication in terms of your mental state and physical state. This is what the solo garlic looks like. So how I peel this, cut the base off and then peel it like this. I use 2 balls of garlic, approximately 7 grams or so. I could use a press for this, but I'm choosing to use a grater. There you go. Now, to spice things up even more, get some of these red onions. Onions contain curcumin, another healthy ingredient, anti-inflammatory. You might notice a pattern there. When I call something healthy, a spice or vegetable is anti-inflammatory. Chili contains capsaicin, which is anti-inflammatory, which once again is measured in SHU, Scoville heat units. It's an acronym stand for Scoville heat units. The higher the number, the higher the strength. So if you look at chili and want the hardest one, sometimes they give it between stars or number of chilies on it. Sometimes tell like 15 to 30,000 SHUs, and then sometimes they tell 100,000 is super strong. So chili cayenne contains capsaicin, which lowers inflammation. And as a rule of thumb, if something is natural and lowers inflammation, it's good for your health. Turmeric lowers inflammation, ginger lowers inflammation, black pepper enhances the absorption of the turmeric and ginger ingredients that lower inflammation. Onions contain curcumin, which is anti-inflammatory, and it's released in response to damage to the onion tissue damage. If you cut it, crush it, grated, it releases curcumin. And it's a curcumin that makes you cry if you're cutting onions sometimes. So I don't need a cutting board. I use freehand cutting like this. So with this ball, I'm looking to get many small pieces. So I'm gonna do this is score it like this, score it like that, and then cut it like this. The other cutting is wiggling the blade, which is the safe way to do it, which is most likely, I figured out the right technique, which where I've been cooking like this daily for years without getting cut all the time. So the wrong way to cut is push the blade like this, because if you slip it goes in your hand. So how I'm cutting, I'm not holding this and pushing like this. I'm rotating and wiggling. So notice how the blade is not really moving towards my hand as much as I'm rotating the object and wiggling the blade like this. So it's like mostly, see, so it's not, I don't cut like this, hold this here, then push it like this. See? I wiggle it here and then rotate the onion. So it's not really dramatic pushes going on. So I've scored this now. I will cut it. And this is not a super sharp knife, but you can cut it. I hit my nail on that finger, so I don't count it as a big mistake. Get some bigger pieces. Last ingredient was ginger. I'll begin to stir this ferociously. Now, it's not over. All in all, Olive oil contains polyphenols, which is also anti-inflammatory, good for health. Paired cooking fats are mine: coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil. Okay. You know what? To spice things up even more, I will add a little bit of wasabi paste to it. Wasabi paste. Now, the most common wasabi paste in the Swedish supermarket that's not super expensive is gonna be mostly horseradish, pepparrot, so 8%. And then this is 2.5% wasabi powder. Wasabi powder is pretty expensive. Not too far from saffron or something. It's like the real wasabi is pretty expensive. I guess if you go to Japan, you're more likely to have like pure wasabi there, where they have like the pride, like a sushi chef, and it's a tradition there. The right way to do things and more pride in it. They might not use this like horseradish paste flavored wasabi. They might be more like it's gonna be real or something like this. So this was about $3 or something like this. Maybe 120, maybe $3, maybe it'll be like $12. It was 50% wasabi. So I like horseradish. I like strong, intense flavors. So it's the wasabi now. I've been fasting for more than 30 hours. I'm really looking forward to eat. And I'm going to make a protein shake too. Protein crispy shake. And we'll see if I end up eating twice, which would be 2 med for 1 time. So it's the OMAD. Which I usually do. Okay. Here we go. Get these hot breads ready. This is a book pan. Here's coconut oil. Coconut oil has MCTs, medium chain triglycerides. Especially good for people adhering to the keto diet. This is the cold pressed coconut, virgin and organic. There's an owl. It says, "Live fast, stay young, healthy go. It's good to be a smart ass." That's right. And we use about a tablespoon of coconut oil. Now, time for the super shake. Well, yes, it wasn't going well until that point. Requires some further cleaning. I wiped off the stove top for solid stream. That was my vegetable cooking powder. I'm not using it for cooking powder. Why do I buy that? It's the only cooking powder up to my standards on the website where I ordered it. Same store where I buy a lot of my supplements. And it's the only cooking powder I found that's lactose free, low carb, and it doesn't have sweeteners or colorings, so to say. It's natural. Veggie protein. Okay. Now here we go. Bullens pizza corn. The right method technique open these cans. If you push it down, it's like an arterial bead or something like this. It's like a stream of liquid coming up. So it's poke it in there, leave it in there, and then letting the air out slowly. These are my favorite canned hot dogs, sausages, Bullens pizza corn. And they have organ meats. I ate these once, and I wow, these really tasty well. And I looked at the ingredients, I can taste different from the other sausages I bought. Lots different. And you can take organ meats, so that can make a difference. Hard and light. that in. Heinz beans in a rich tomato sauce. This is about half of a can left over from my last meal, stored in the fridge. I like beans with tomato sauce. It's a soft item to have at home. It's the homemade garlic sauce plus. Lower the temperature. All the way. Glutamine. I made a mistake when ordering amino acids, ordering glutamine and creatine, and I ended up buying creatine and glutamine that have all these ingredients that I hate. Not from this like I hate it, I chemical features and stuff. Glutamine. Now I'll load up the grand portion with also supplements, and there'll be fewer supplements. There'll be a smaller grand portion with also supplements than usual, because I ran out of some supplements and I ordered new and they didn't arrive yet. That's a digestive enzyme tablet, and I forgot I kept so. ALA, aflatoxin acid. Niacin. Niacinamide, aka vitamin B3. A B complex. And I put it in this enzyme tablet. And that doesn't just add those enzymes to the protein shake. It also helps to mix it, because this is not a bottle designed to be a shaker bottle. I have a little object and then bounce around as to mix it. More supplements. NAD, N-acetylcysteine. This came in an Amazon package yesterday. Das ist så viele. L-theanine. So there's a substance I've been out of for about a week now. I can tell the difference. I'm more irate and more stuff. I've been out of magnesium and L-theanine for about a week or so. Garlic extract and some garlic tablets. 2 magnesium complex with plus P5P. $369. Omega-3 fish oil. And finally, probiotics. I saw those in the fridge. Probiotics. And I put 2 or 3 capsules in there. And I'm putting 2 opening and emptying the probiotic powder into the super shake. I don't have greens powder right now. That is a bit shaky. Add some more clear. It's a kilo vitamin C powder. Så kopplar vi det. Såsbok i fisk. Det är väldigt lite. Det är bra. Så, I like this. This is more or less like an established food. I had like 4 childhood memories, but sometimes eating hot dogs is one of my favorite foods. Like hot dogs with the bread, and either mustard or ketchup, or like this, or like this blew my mind as a kid. This type of topping for hot dogs. Cucumber mayo. These are gluten-free hot dog breads. Yeah, so I'm glad to have received the magnesium and L-theanine. I ran out of magnesium, L-theanine. I've been out of both for about a week now, and omega-3 fish oil for 3+ days. And I've been able to tell the difference, where I'm more worked up, irate, having not taken any magnesium or L-theanine in a day for 7 days in a row. So look forward to getting L-theanine and magnesium. And in my post-meal dose, there's not, close to a gram of magnesium and close to, let's say, around 800 milligrams of L-theanine. Yeah. So now I'm gonna add lactose-free cooking cream. Yes. This looks great. Is the post-meal dose of supplements. I'll be transporting myself into the living room as I consume this fast-breaking meal. She's got a smile that seems to me reminds me of childhood memories. And hello, guys. I feel like I want to get tucked in from the night. Yeah, boogie woogie. I can tell from the energy that they want to get tucked in for the night. They're in rest mode now. Good night, B1B2. Good night, moon. Good night, sun. Good night, stars. Stars. This Resident Evil Extinction. I think it is Retribution. One Resident Evil movies where there's the A-team is having a gas station, and then they got the T-100. It's like a Terminator. It's possibly inspired by that movie. And then he's got like Gal 8, so he's got like a water barrel, a minigun, and missiles and stuff. Nemesis, I think he's called. And he's got like an airborne where he's looking for the stars team. Okay, there were stars. And I started blasting those things. So anyway, I started blasting. It was a brrrr. And then the only guy he's like left is a black guy in the middle. He's holding like the two guns. Okay, it's the opposite. Like the mid like the black guy that first in the movie. So far, it's just like a thing. People say that's how it's nice point. This last guy and he's got I think two guns, and then the T-100 is scanning him like an airborne member goes. It's like he puts down the guns, and then he doesn't shoot him. He just walks off. Okay. Resident Evil. It's like not bad if it's action movies or decoder. with a Jokic. I like the monster that has the huge axe that goes out and drags that monster. So here's the OMAD meal of the day. Or if it becomes too mad, I didn't decide yet. So here we are. Here's today's OMAD meal. Well, I'm using OMAD meal. I might do too mad today. Here's today's fast bacon meal. 2 hot dogs. Gurkmajonnäs. Supplement. Here's my vitamin C water. A B complex. This I don't use for cooking on. That's linseed oil. I use to lubricate air gun parts. So, a lot of people use it for cooking. So, I used to lubricate air gun parts. It's something needs some lubrication there. That's some linseed oil. Yeah. It's 1940. It's 1940, 2025, 10:23. Time is 1940, local time. And I just spoke by fast. 23rd October, 2025, Thursday. Really good. The remaining food is on level 1 in the kitchen, so it's more a heat warm temperature than a cooking temperature. Well, I looked at a Swedish coin earlier. I started talking about kings and stuff. So they still have in Sweden the face of the king on the coin, which is very true to form. There's a part of the Bible thousands of years ago when Jesus Christ, they were disputed. It's almost like, should we pay taxes or tributes for this? And it goes show the coin, like whose face is on the coin? And it goes Caesar. It went down to Caesar. That was his Caesar's name. My favorite Swedish king is called the 12th. Kung called the 12th there. King called the 12th. I think his special title was Carolus Rex, quite possibly. I pull it up. Wikipedia. Yeah. This can be XVI. No. It was good. That's my favorite Swedish king. That's so good. So, in brief, what I liked about Apollo 12, he wasn't one of these politicians like Bush, who sent off American men to die in some war. I saw a sniper, Nick Irving, I think his name was, who was upset about how these rich people like Bush or whoever was in power, it's like they're some of the most soft people I've ever seen. And they send young men off to die in the wars and lose the innocent. They're sitting home and having a comfortable life, being the most softest people has ever seen or something like this. So this be the opposite of that type of person. I understand that, what he means. So part of the thing that I like about Call the 12th, it's like a Bible king. in a way similar to Samson or something like this, like judges, okay? Okay. So he was a warrior king. So when Sweden, stormaktstiden, Sweden used to be a massive empire, like a powerful nation, to the point of going to war with Russia, okay? Meaning going to Russia to fight Russia. Stormaktstiden, like big power time, would be directly translated. Okay. So, okay, big power. So that's the point. Um, King Carl XII, he was a young king. Okay, he was a Christian too. I can't remember if he was a real Christian or not, but he was like a Christian at least. Okay, I don't know if he was saved or not. I had to dig more to see like what it tells for the gospel. So what I like about King Carl XII, one of the things to make him different, or one of his draws is that I'm gonna have to walk first person to walk. So there we go. So King Carl XII, somebody came and leaving a comment that was annoying one, or they didn't click the like button too. If you don't want to get blocked, 99% certainty if you come and leave a comment and I can tell the like and they go up, you get blocked. No matter what the comment is, I'll love you like didn't leave the like button, you get blocked. Okay. Also for backgrounds. What kind of comment? No. So, and also be respectful, be blocked. Those are some rules. And if you fail to follow these rules, you get blocked. I might have to make friends and be Mr. Nice Guy. Dealing with human beings typically is a necessary evil for me. And it's not something it's like most time I get a bad feeling when I see a comment in the chat. Not a good one. Okay, my mood is good and I'm in a good mood. And somebody constantly leaves a comment and it starts mood points to me, understand? So anyway, support. Back to our favorite. King Carl XII. Swedish king. King Carl XII. He's my favorite Swedish king. Why? Because as I talked about before, Nick Irving, ex-Special Forces sniper, so he's like a Marine sniper. He's one of those people that show up in clips and podcasts and stuff like this. And I saw a clip, the summarizes was like, yeah, he didn't like as a man of war, basically. Okay, like a soldier. Like these soft people in America send young men like him off to die in the wars. And they're some of the most softest people I've ever seen. See? So this is really the exact, and I understand, I'm a warrior myself. So this king, King Carl XII, he was the exact opposite of that. He was a warrior king, reminiscent of the Old Testament. Now, a big part of Swedish society's time, the legal system, it was modeled Israel, like the laws. They had otukt, they had crimes of like sexual immorality that are not even legal anymore. That possibly go to prison for cheating wives like this. They had more laws that were close to the Old Testament, and the system was like God would raise up judges in the Old Testament, and it was modeled on that. See, like the divine right of kings to rule, type of thing. So, first of all, he believed, okay, that he was in God's providence. God had picked him to be the king of Sweden. So he was like, my job is to take care of this country for God, okay? Which means he's more likely to do a good job at that if he actually believes that. I have no reason to believe he didn't. So, which means, and he would know the history. So part of his royal upbringing would be like, as a child, learning like maybe German or like painting and seeing like theologians, like the master theologian, like this is like the head heart of theologian. It's like have him tutor the young prince, okay, before he becomes king and things like this. So you got like top-notch education, like theology, philosophy, languages, even like military strategies and this from early on. I wouldn't be surprised if he took fencing classes to Verja, that rapier. That's the point. So King Carl XII, and I'm going to show his portrait pretty soon. That's my favorite Swedish king. So he believed that he was put in power by God, okay? And back in this time in Sweden, stormaktstiden, directly translated would be big power time or era, okay? Now translated to English the right way. But the superpower time or something like this, the superpower epoch or the superpower era or something like this. So at this time, Sweden was a superpower on the world stage. Now, on par with Russia to a point where Sweden went to war, invaded Russia. Okay. So here's the point. He believed God put him in place to be king, and he had a responsibility to serve God and the people. His job was to take care of the country, run it right. And he would, of course, be aware of the Old Testament verses, which that God raised up a judge. And sometimes the judge, like a king, would get wicked and God would like kill them or smite them down or curse them or something like this. See? So it's more likely to be like a very good job at this. So, and here's the thing. Part of Maida, he was a border king. Okay. So he was a border king. Like, and he was like a lot of things. So he was the king, meaning like what people believe the Trump is America. Like the guy running the country, okay? Him running the country. Obviously had advisors, okay? Like a group of advisors. He had advisors, okay? Some of them inherited from his father, who was the previous king. So it wasn't just all, he had help from people to like have a warm discussion about things. Okay, that's the point. He was a warrior king, and he accompanied the Swedish army on the battlefield, which means he made a decision if Sweden is going to go to war with Russia or not, or Finland or whoever. Okay, and he went with the army where they went. See, so if he decided we're going to go to war with Russia, he'll march with his armies and he'll be on the battlefield. See, and I don't believe that he was a person that was like go that wave on the battlefield, say hello, and then like retreat and hide in a cave somewhere, something like this. Like he was on the battlefield to the point he was shot in the foot on the field of battle because he was right there, like with the main force and people are firing musket balls and stuff. So he was hit on his foot, in his foot by a musket ball while being on his horse. Okay, and most like it was like a straight bullet or like volley fire, but it wasn't some received Swedish king they're shooting at. So he was wounded seriously, survived, retreated to the Ottoman Empire, and Sweden this time was allied with Ottomans, okay, which would be modern day Turkey, I guess, over there, okay. Libanuduklu or something like this, okay. The Tardipi, the people talk like this, okay, the Ottoman Empire. And the Ottomans had a nickname for him, Ironhead, Demirbas, okay, like Ironhead, Demirbas. I remember that. So Ironhead. So I guess possibly because he was stubborn or something like this. Okay, hard-headed, Ironhead, Demirbas. That was a nickname for him. So Sweden was allied with Ottoman Empire back then. So he retreated to those regions, and there was some trouble over there, Kalablik and Bender, somewhere around this point, where the king was holed up in a building, and there was people like laying siege or coming to get him, and he and his like I guess secret service. It's not going to be like a huge force, but like a more like a bodyguard detail, like a general's bodyguard or something. He didn't have like millions of people there. Okay, so here's the point. And he was actually injured, I think, in a sword fight, and it is close range fighting. They got muskets, and it is sword fighting around there. And it's known as Kalabalik in Bender. It's be like the chaos in Bender or something like this. So, there was a warrior king, and I think he died at 36, which is my age. I hope it's not a curse if you're Swedish to say God died at 36. And then you got a foot injury. So it is a point. So it is a point. He got injured seriously, and he died. So here's the point. One of the things that I respect about him being a king, first of all, he's a Christian. He wouldn't let it fly the gay pride parades. He wouldn't let the government that he ran back then, like the armed forces of Sweden, participate in gay pride parades, or the police force for this. Okay, first of all. So I know that he wouldn't let that fly. Okay, he was a Christian. Okay, and then if he's like, I don't know if he was a person, I don't know if he was a safe person or not. Which I would have to look into the history books, like what he credits for why he's going to heaven or something like this. If there's something in there, like why did he trust to go to heaven? If it's going to be like being a good person or something like this, you say, okay. But here's the point. So he was a Christian, and he was a Christian to the point where I call like too Christian. Where he was like similar to me in a way, without some of the other things going on with me. Where it's like reading the Bible is a big deal. Talk about Jesus, you talk about the Bible. People got this guys all talk about this in the Bible, quote about verses. It is this a real big deal to him. And then right and wrong is because God says so type of person. So he was gonna be more like that than how most British people are now. So he'd be more relatable to me. Um, in that way. Okay. Now, also, he's a warrior king. So he didn't sit up. Remember, he was the top commander of the Swedish armed forces, like the BAs now, so for this. So they have whatever the highest general in the US armed forces is, the top star general. That's like the highest general of them all. He'd be that, like the general of the armed forces, like control the forces. He'd be the ruler. Okay, which means he decided if you're going to go to war with Russia, taxes going up or down. Now he had advisors, meaning he ran the country. Now he was the one guy, understand? It's going to be war, not peace, try to make allies with this country, not. It all stops with him, like the decisions. Okay, now this Swedish monarchy holds most a vestigial, you might call it, like a symbolic function, where it's the same everything. They have the same castles, architectures, they have the same titles, and they have the same. It's royalty, similar to the Brits, I guess, but they're not really running the country, and they hold most as ceremonial function, and it's like a vestige. With a Swedish king now, it's not to say we're going to go to war with Russia or something like this. His it's more ceremonial, where it's like maybe Swedish opening power plant or something like this, and the king himself shows up to cut the ribbon. Okay, maybe Sweden has a new like battleship being launched or a submarine or something like this, and he's the guy hitting with champagne or something like this. And the king himself does it. So that's that contemporary royalty basically, and also talking to other world leaders. So it's like the diplomatic and um, this type of special occasions. Okay, so um, now so this it was different back then. Okay, it was like a Riksdag, and like you have opposing parties and opposition in the current regime, and prime minister this and that and stuff. It was just the king. It was all the king. Understand? He made a decision. He ran it all. This one guy, he was running the whole country. Now he had advisors. Some of them inherited, as I said before, from his father, who was also a king. So it could be this was his father's uh, ally, confidant, or something like this. A close friend of his father that was also his father's advisor, so some trusted ally, and he inherited some of the advisors. So it wasn't just all him alone in the room that made everything up. That he had the power to make decisions, but he could hold like a round table with his advisor, like, "What do you think we should go to war to Russia?" And then maybe hear them out, and okay, then they might go yes, yay, nay, or okay, not voting really, but he make a decision, but he might want to get their opinion on things and listen to them. And then maybe if they get the poll, it's like, I want to go toward Russia, Swedish king. And it's like, what say you? And they go, yeah, we wanted to go to Russia. It's a good idea, guy. Okay, so like a king. So, okay. And then maybe it's like, well, what do you do? Winter or summer? And then this guy says winter, so for this other guy says summer. So they had advisors, okay, helping them out. But they weren't controlling them, okay. So he was controlling things. There was a warrior king, which means um, when he decided we're going to go to war with Russia, like Sweden at this time, he went and marched with his armies, and he was a warrior king. So he was on the battlefield. So he was a king and a general at the same time, you could say. So he was the chief commander. So he was like Napoleon and the president at the same time. It'd be like Napoleon, a great general, and like Trump at the same time, if you believe that Trump is going to run the country so for this. Like without all the other things going on. So he marched with his armies, and he was on the battlefield, on the field of battle, commanding his armies, and he was there. He didn't like show up there and just wave and then run off and hide in the cave. He was on the battlefield to the point that his bullets flying against the injuries into this. So, uh, which is a completely different thing Did like George Bush and Tony Blair. Yeah, Brits, you're going to die in Iraq or fight some wars. And Bush is like, yeah, set them off to fight this war. And they see like drinking whiskey in some like Texas ranch and look at like a Van Gogh painting and smoke a cigar or something like this. With like the people, but if they will go to war over here and a young man go and die in these instances of this. So he was the exact opposite of that type of person. He was, we're going to war over here, like the Swedish army, and he went with them and was on the field of battle in the midst of the chaos and cannonballs flying and bullets flying and things like this. So he was a war king. He was on the field of battle, and when he was in well, felt start when he felt when he was in the field. Okay, when he went with his army, he didn't wear like a parade uniform or something like this, or like a special, uh, like super impressive thing. He wore like humble clothing, very similar to his soldiers, what they wore, the uniforms, like the same uniform, and he was with them, the same uniform. That maybe the difference was he might have had gold instead of brass buttons or something like this. I'm not sure. I had the Wikipedia ready to pull up and look at some stuff. Now, that's my favorite king. That's my favorite king, the Swedish king, Karl XII. So, pull this up and let's look at it. I had to look if the stream is still going. I had to look if the stream is still going. I had this error again. I don't like this. Going to end this part 2.